This week on World Traveler Cooking. In the past I've done potato pancakes, Bulviu Blynai. Today we're going to do Bulviu Blynai but with a twist. Instead of using onions, we're going to use zucchini. I've seen zucchini pancakes referred to in a number of different Lithuanian sources. And so we're going to go ahead and try this today. And again, this is my recipe based on a composite of several other recipes I've looked at. So, a couple things to keep in mind. Zucchini are going to interfere with the binding of the potato pancakes a bit. So we definitely do need to add some flour. And this will also change the texture quite a lot. Some people do add onions. I'm not going to today. Some people add milk. Some people don't. I'm going to add some milk today. Yeah, these are quite delicious, quite flexible. You can serve them with sour cream, with other things. Today I'm going to just eat them plain because I want to compare the flavor. But you know, if you want to present them well, definitely do it with sour cream. So for our ingredients, I have a kilogram of potatoes, all-purpose white potatoes. I have a decent-sized young zucchini, 2 eggs, and we're going to eyeball a bit of flour and a bit of milk. And basically that's going to be all we're going to have. Now, again, you can grate the potatoes and zucchini with a box grater or a electric grating machine. I happen to have my potato grater's still on its way from Germany, so I'm going to have to use a Bosch sort of food processor with a box grating attachment, a star grater attachment on it, which is nice. Most food processors don't have that. You can shred them with the shredding attachment, and then either add your eggs and put it in a blender and blend until you have a puree, or you could as I say, just use a box grater. So that's that. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm basically going to wash the zucchini and I'm going to peel the carrots before I get started. So here's the star grater attachment. You can see that this is not a shredder attachment. And basically I'm going to go ahead and run all of this through. I'm not going to show it to you because it's loud and noisy and not very helpful. But I'll be back as soon as that's done. I am going to grate the zucchini first, and that's just because I want to maximize the antioxidant capabilities in these zucchini in order to keep the potatoes from going brown. So here we have our grated pulp. Into it, we're going to crack our eggs. Now, a lot of people beat these ahead of time. But I don't think that's entirely necessary here. Remember, we're going to stir these well and mix them well, and so beating ahead of time is not such of an issue. Next, we'll add some flour, and I would say like around 1/4 cup. That's like 60 milliliters, or let's see if I can get my calculations right. And you can add some milk if you'd like. I'm going to add just a bit here. So here we just stir these together. And there's not a lot of flour here, so, you know, I mean, you could use a whisk, it doesn't really matter. I'm not using a whisk because it'll just, but yeah, so here's our batter. And next, we'll go ahead and fry these. So we have some oil on the pan, it's nice and hot, so I'm going to start frying the peas. So I usually flip these when I can start to see brown on the outside. You can see that leaves some nice brown, and then we'll go ahead and fry this on the other side until it's browned, and we'll just keep doing this with all of them. So here you can see the beginnings of brown, so I'm going to flip this one and you can see. You can see that lovely golden brown. That's exactly what we're aiming for. So, as a little embarrassing as this is, I am out of sour cream, so I'm not going to top it with any sour cream. And normally I would top it with basil, or not basil, dill, but dill is really hard to get here in Indonesia. So I'm topping it with parsley. Recommend instead do it using dill and sour cream. At any rate, next is going to be the taste test. And now for the taste test. So, the first thing to note here is that the texture of these, like many potato pancakes, is a little gluey. That's fine. The flavor is really nice and rich and complex. Flavor-wise, this would certainly be better with sour cream, but if you don't have it, that's not the end of the world. The flavor is really nice and light. I really like it. Definitely going to make this again. Many, many times. If you find this content interesting, I hope I've earned a like and a subscription from you, and please check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support my work. My patrons get early access to some of my videos, depending on the tier. And once I get people at the higher tier, I'll start doing live cooking classes. So that's a nice add-on there as well. That will definitely help encourage me to produce more content. Additionally, if you make a dish like this and you do it a little differently, I'd love to hear about the differences. You can put it in the comments, or if I've shared the post somewhere else, you can reach out to me that way too. But I always like to hear about this. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to criticize, but we all learn from each other. So, at any rate, recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.